Hello. Right. I think this is all working. This is my first time doing this. So welcome everyone who's watching. I hope it's all going well. Um, there we go. I think I can see people joining. So this is great. This is already going swimmingly. So hello everyone. We're here to talk about Days of Bagnold Summer, which is the fantastic new film which I believe most of you have all just watched, or if not, it's coming out very soon. And the Massive is running these amazing preview screenings. So, Days of Bagnold Summer is a film directed by the brilliant Simon Bird, written by Lisa Owens, and we're about to have a Q&A with one of its stars, Mr. Earl Cave, who I know very well. And this is kind of, I think, I saw this film at the London Film Festival, and then I watched it last night again before this, and it's kind of perfect for now, I think, because we're in lockdown and the story is about all the kind of massiveness of like all the small emotions, all the kind of normal parts of life when your plans get changed and you have to spend a summer holiday's worth of time with your family, which is a beautiful thing. So I am going to hopefully just add Earl now. I will introduce him. So psycho there we go. Madness. I think it's just waiting. I would do more of a drum roll, but this is as best as I can do. Here he is.
Hello.
This is fantastic. How are you, Earl? Hold on. I've got the Wheel of Doom. There we go.
Hello.
How are you, man?
I'm good, George. How are you?
Yeah, really well. So excited. So excited that this is working.
Man.
And I can see things ticking over. So this is very, very exciting. Mate, I know I've sort of just told you, but I watched the film again yesterday, and it is so beautiful. I think everyone, watching this, I hope has seen it or is about to go and see it. But it is just perfect, and it's like the comedy is just gorgeous, and all the sorts of beautiful little moments, it's all the small things in life. It's all the kind of when you're in an enclosed space with someone, especially someone you love massively, you kind of all the small things feel massive, and I just thought it came across so beautifully.
Thanks.
So I was just I guess it's sort of like I'm saying, it's kind of perfect for lockdown because it's about having your summer changed. How is lockdown for you at the minute?
It's going very well, man. It's going good. I've been isolating for a while now, and I've been skipping a lot, George, to be honest. I've been doing a lot
You've
of
been
skipping.
skipping.
Yeah.
How many do you count? Like how many skips are you up to?
I don't count, but I can, I've been doing all right. Can do, the double one and the
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Have you seen the film The Boxer with Daniel Day-Lewis?
Yes, yeah, I have.
There's like 15 seconds of skipping, which is the most inspirational 15 seconds.
He must have done a lot of skipping for that, I reckon.
I think he definitely did.
Or quite a lot of takes.
What in terms of, I guess there probably wasn't a huge amount of skipping for this character. What kind of like for this character for Daniel? What sort of prep? Because I remember actually the job that we met on. We did lines together in the car when I was playing your mum. Driving through Wangaratta with a half a and I'm running these lines. I remember you telling me about this project. So tell me, what was it like jumping into the character? How did you go about it?
It was good. I mean, it was, at the beginning of the film, he's sort of Daniel's in quite a dark place, and he's very introverted, and it was very much a completely different role from the role that I've been playing with you, George, and that being very extroverted. So it was a complete change in character, sort of straight off the bat. So it was sort of, I guess, also the ending of filming that and going into this, that I was sort of emotionally so exhausted that it sort of added to the character, I guess. Just sort of, I listened to a lot of Metallica and Cannibal Corpse, and I was
trying to... Cannibal Corpse?
George, I wouldn't go into it. They're terrifying. They're really terrifying. It was terrifying listening to them. Although I did start to kind of like it, actually.
Yeah, I find like, do you find, because obviously the job that we worked on before, music became a massive part of the process.
Yeah,
Do you find with like with all of your roles, is music a way into things for you?
for sure. I think music is one of the best things to sort of unlock an emotion
Hmm.
or sort of get to a place because it's so, in a way, it can trigger so many different emotions that it can just almost automatically bring you to a place where you want to go. And I know we did a lot of that, and that was sort of the first time where I really used music to do that. So going into Bagnold Summer and doing the same thing was very helpful. And yeah, just yeah, listening to a lot of Metallica with Monica in the car going to work, and I'd be belting Master of Puppets, and she'd be trying to play some Barry Manilow. It was always a nice dynamic between us, even then.
Yeah, tell me about working with Monica, because she is so brilliant in this, and this is
You've
another.
worked with Monica as well. She's played
Well,
your mum too.
yeah, we are officially brothers because she played my mum as especially in suburbia again as well.
Yeah, yeah,
So I mean, and then she's amazing. Like I remember, I learned so much from Monica about. I remember watching her prepare for a scene one time, and she was working out. She said, and I kind of quizzed her. I was like, "What are you doing?" Because she was kind of writing things in her script, and She was kind of quite shy about it, but then explained about the. She was kind of working out. She always said she worked out before what a character wanted from a scene,
yeah, yeah,
why
yeah,
they wanted it, and how they wanted it, and it's something I've used ever
yeah.
since. So like, and she's so brilliant in the film. Like, just tell me about working with her.
Man, she's incredible. She was very maternal with me, and I took a lot from of our relationship on and offset, especially offset, and we lived actually very near to each other as well as you. It's very weird, but
Yeah.
we lived very close to West London, so we take the same car to work each day,
Mm.
to set, and we listen to music and we chat, and we wanted it to sort of be like a mother and son taking a car journey to wherever.
Yeah.
And so a lot of it was on and off screen, mainly off screen, that she'd sort of we'd do little things that would kind of just trigger little emotions, much to like how you would with your actual mother, and like little things like she'd grab my cheek and she'd do little things that she knew also that it would slightly piss me off as well, and she would
Yeah.
do things to antagonize me slightly to sort of just make it slightly easier to be mean to her, because it's so difficult to be mean to Monica because she's so lovely, and you have to stay in that place, and I had to call her a bitch, and that was like the most horrible. I was just like saying those words was like tasted horrible.
Have you ever had like, I guess like we all have, but like, did you find, were there sort of connections from the character, not sort of obvious kind of just mother and son kind of like gripes and stuff, but like what did you find in Daniel that was sort of rung true to yourself, even if it's like not so obvious as well?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think the idea of I think his headphones were quite a big thing, where it was sort of him plugging out of the world, so he'd put them in and he'd be in his own sort of headspace. And I completely sort of I feel I do the same thing sometimes, where you sort of put in your headphones and you're sort of disconnecting yourself from the music of the outside world and sort of listening to what you feel is relevant to how you're feeling at the time.
Yeah.
So I think with that, and also just all the hair stuff just completely resonated with me. I mean, like not washing my hair, my mum telling me to wash my hair. I mean, that was just pretty much straight off. It seemed like someone been recording our conversations or something. Literally the same thing.
I was very impressed that, I mean, especially because you've got the new haircut now. I mean, I think my hair's long with lockdown, but that was particularly strong, yours from the film.
Yeah. So George, my lights just turned off.
Oh no, the lights
They're
out.
going back on. They're going back on.
Oh, good. We've had like a
George.
power shortage.
Power cut.
But I was actually, you're talking about music, and obviously, because the other thing that I felt, and it's kind of like another character in the film in a way, is the soundtrack. Is the beautiful music of
Yeah.
Belle and Sebastian, and it's such an important part of the movie. And I think it's cool. It's one of those films where an artist has written the score and has written music for the score, and because it's such an important part of the music and it offsets the tone of the film and complements it some of the time. Like, how aware of you on shooting? Like, did Simon ever play music to you, or did you listen to it or anything?
Well, I think with Simon, what getting Belle and Sebastian was such a strange thing because he kind of went to the people that you asked to make the music, I guess, for the show, and was like, I want a sort of Belle and Sebastian vibe, a sort of, you know, Belle and Sebastian. And that was his like top thing, but that was like he wanted something like that, you know.
Yeah.
And they were like came back and they were like, well, we got Belle and Sebastian. They want to make the score for it, and I didn't really know at the time that they were literally making the music for the film. I sort of thought they were using songs, so I never really realized until I went into Rough Trade, and I went in, and then there was a Belle and Sebastian album cover with me and Monica's face on it, and we were
So
just,
cool.
oh my god, and yeah, it was very
Have
strange.
you got it? Have you got a vinyl?
I do have the vinyl. It's on the mantelpiece downstairs.
Okay, good,
The
good.
mantelpiece.
The mental mantelpiece,
The
and tell me
mantelpiece.
a wee bit more as well, because this is Simon's first film, and I think it's, I'm trying to think of the, polite adjectives. I think it's uh, brilliant. Like,
Ah,
as in, I'm trying not to swear here. I just think it's like it's masterful. It's so characterful, and it's artistic, and it's quirky, and it's cool, and it's really assured as well. Like, what was he like to do? Because obviously I know his acting work, and
yeah,
like
yeah.
from in between us and Friday Night Dinner and stuff. But what was he like as a director?
Yeah, it was so strange because obviously I'd seen everything he's done, and I'd always been a huge fan of what he'd done, and it was sort of strange seeing him in real life because
Mhm.
he wasn't that sort of character, and he was just like kind of like really like down to earth and like super normal and just kind of cool, and it was sort of quite strange, and then seeing him direct was incredible because he had a vision, and you can sort of see in the film that he clearly
Mm.
has a vision of you know the quirkiness and the how hard the cuts are and how sort of and the music and everything. He sort of had this vision. I think also because Lisa, his wife,
Yeah,
they're
it's
sort
great.
of yeah. So Lisa Owens, who wrote the script, is Simon's wife, and so they sort of had this dynamic together where they just had this vision, where they just knew what they wanted this film to look like and
Was
how
she
they.
present on set all the time as well?
Yeah, well, yeah. Lisa was on set for a bit, and it was really amazing. I mean, she is incredible, such a brilliant writer, and to bring such life to the, I mean, the graphic novel it's based on is literally just square, like you know, square little squares, and which sort of bring out a scene, and there's absolutely no story to the graphic novel either. So
Yeah, I was looking up some pictures, and there's one that it's like of a car journey where it sort of says, listen to Metallica on the way there, and on the way back, mum listens to the Carpenters. This is
yeah,
bliss.
yeah,
Like,
yeah. It's really, I mean, again, you get a lot from those little snippets, just those small little basic blocks in the graphic novel, and
hmm,
Joff Winterhart, who wrote it and illustrated it, um, really captured so much in just these tiny little squares. And I think I think Lisa sort of took that a step further and managed to capture such a sort of beautiful story in the simplicity of what Joff had done,
yeah.
and it's really amazing.
And there's one thing that I wanted to ask about, and I don't want to sort of take the magic away by sort of explaining the sort of craft behind it, but like the comic timing was so brilliant, and I think that's one of the things that's, as you say, like either in hard cuts in edits, but also in the scenes, and like even there's one shot of like vignettes when you go to the seaside,
Yeah,
and there's even the birds have comic timing. There's like two blackbirds who are sort of doing their own thing, and then one of my favorite shots was when you go and you're giving your CV and you go into like the carpet shop,
yeah,
and like I think that's I think it's actually sort of harder to do than people realize, that kind of the thing of just the rhythm of like he goes in, the
yeah.
guy looks at the CV,
I think yeah.
and then he looks up. Like, how planned was that, or is that just something that you kind of all sort of
I
vibed
think
with when you were doing
I
it?
think the clever thing that Simon did was that he made our performances quite earnest, where the
Yeah,
comedy was really in how they filmed it, and also that they're sort of laughing at us sort of trying our best in a way, and
yeah,
so it was sort of a way that he didn't sort of tell us to be funny, or he wasn't purposefully pushing us to do stuff in a comedic way, but we'd do it sort of in an earnest way that would sort of make people laugh at us at how we're like, we're acting as normal when it's something completely like I'm going into like a baby store full of, beautiful pink baby blue clothes, with my shirt that's got someone electrocuting themselves or something, and it's like little things like that they're very subtle and you don't really realize the impact of them until once you've sort of seen it all cut together. So I think very much the placement of the cuts and the music and little things like that on top of us sort of earnestly doing a scene sort of really somehow made it funny. And yes, still don't know.
It's like it's something when you're not meant to, like, also like in life as well, if someone's taking something really seriously and you've got to do something, it makes it all the more.
It does. It does.
Now I'm kind of watching, because again I'm new to Instagram. As people I can see comments passing and whizzing by. For anyone watching, please, any questions that you want. This is the point of this, is that I can see them and I can read them out. So I'm just going to click this one icon down here.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. Just to see. Oh look, these are some questions coming in. Sorry, I'm having to read this. Okay, well, I was just one. What kind of brother were you to each other? That's sort of outside the question.
We were very close brothers.
Yeah, and there's asked for best blooper moments together, but this is sort of more about us two. But like, was there anything on Bagnold, like Days of Bagnold Summer, that kind of any sort of funny moments that happened on set?
Well, there's the fudge scene.
Yes, with thotkg. thotkg's amazing. And he lives near to where I live now, and I saw him in the shop, and I wanted to say how much I think he's brilliant, but I didn't because I got nervous. But tell me about thotkg.
He's a very nice guy. He's not that scary. He's not as intimidating as he seemed in the film. But
no, he was just buying like a chocolate bar or something, and I thought I can't
let him buy his chocolate bar, George.
But what was it? Sorry, what was it? Yeah, tell me about that scene.
Oh man, it was just like, it was so hard to keep a straight face during that, because he just sort of, there's this like fluidity to the way he speaks and the way that his comedic timing is, and it's so spot on that we couldn't contain ourselves, and they had to put this black sheet across from Simon, because I kept looking at Simon and he kept laughing and we kept like just corpsing the whole time, so they had to like block him off and like put the sun on, but I could hear him just like giggling like in the background and I just get it in my head. And duffing and just sweating and just like I couldn't keep a straight face, and I meant to look, sort of completely mortified that I've been brought up here and I have to do this fudge demonstration, but I couldn't keep a straight face. And I think you can actually see that I am slightly smirking, and if you look closely in the scene.
Well, I love it because his character is kind of like, it's kind of a little bit cruel, or like the whole situation is so cruel, but it's so funny, and it's like it's just so. I don't know. It's so many things at once. It's so brilliant to see. But he's amazing. I think
he's incredible. He is so funny.
And I'm sorry. I'm just also like checking with the notes that we've got here. We had one person just kind of ask, "What have been the films that you've watched in lockdown?" Because I guess again, this is through Massive Cinema, bringing us all these brilliant previews and supporting British film and British makers. What have you been watching? People want to know.
I've been watching, I've been trying to do sort of like fairly sophisticated movies whilst I'm in lockdown, sort of educate myself slightly. So I've been trying to watch a lot of sort of Godard films and Fellini films and sort of films like that. And they've been incredible. I watched The Lighthouse the other day.
I need to see that. Robert Eggers is amazing.
It is honestly just, the cinematography is just phenomenal, and it's the most beautiful film. And Robert Pattinson and Willem Dafoe. They just fart through the whole thing, and apparently all the farts are real.
Really?
Man, that's acting. That's acting.
I need to watch that. Have you seen The Witch actually?
I have, man. Yeah. The Witch as well. Robert
Eggers is amazing. Like, I think that's so bold. When I saw The Witch, and it was like, wow, they're speaking in that kind of like old school with the dialect.
It's similar with the Lighthouse, and they're speaking a sort of shit kind of sailor kind of lingo, and it's really it's impossible to understand anything they're saying, but it's really just the most unbelievable film, really.
I need to
Um,
watch that. I saw that. I'm sorry, I'm like bummed I missed it at the cinema.
yeah,
Hold on, I'm just reading through a couple more questions as we go. It's quite a good one. Someone's just asked, what was the most difficult scene to get? You know, I guess in terms of like logistically or acting wise, what was the
well,
trickiest thing
I
to
guess
get?
logistically, the stuff when Riley the dog had to die was
Right,
like impossible to film because he wouldn't sit still, and
because he
he
wouldn't
would,
die.
well,
And I guess
it's just a
well, in case anyone, I guess before we ask any more, don't worry, guys, that happens pretty early on. But we should probably be mindful of
oh, right,
spoilers.
sorry, yeah,
You
sorry.
know.
I guess
But
that's a
also,
spoiler.
Riley didn't die. All dogs
But
were looked
to,
after.
sorry to break the news, but Riley, the actual dog, did actually pass away not that long ago.
Oh no, I'm so sorry.
I know it was very sad um, news to get, but he did actually pass away. But he was a very good boy through filming, and we took very good care of him. And Riley wasn't like trained or anything. He was just a sort of, I think, a friend of Simon's dog. I think, and
A friend of a friend of Simon's dog.
a friend of a friend.
So they asked
It's Simon's
his
dog's
dog if he
mate.
knew any dogs that he wanted to
Yeah.
get.
Simon's. It was a dog. It was a lovely dog, and Riley killed it. He absolutely killed it.
And then after
Amen.
killing it, sadly
Rest in
died.
peace,
Ironically,
Riley.
I mean, the question was though, did he fart throughout?
He didn't. Did he fart?
Yeah, like as you said, it's true acting.
He didn't fart much. He just. We had to do the scene where Monica and I are sort of kneeling there, and he's just passed away.
Mm-hmm.
It happens fairly early. It's not really a spoiler, but he
Yeah,
passed
no.
away, the dog. And we're sort of kneeling there, and we'd get to a place, and we'd be sitting there, and he'd just sort of look up and be like, "Bro," and Riley, get right down. And so yeah, but Riley, we miss Riley. Riley was a beauty.
Oh,
Good dog.
he was very good. I mean, he himself had
He
great
stole the
comments.
show.
He did.
Good boy.
So, and as someone else has asked as well, which actors and actresses inspire you? Like who do you look up to in terms of work and that?
Well, George Mackay. George, it's all coming out now. You're a very big inspiration to me.
Thank you. Well,
I think I'm. Who do I love?
I feel like
Oh
I
God,
think
this question's so hard.
this question's so hard, but I think as well, like sometimes I find performances, like rather than sort of saying like one actor. Well, and there's so many actors and actresses that are so amazing, but like I always think of like
Of a
John
performance.
Leguizamo as Tybalt in Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet. I remember seeing like
Yeah,
Tybalt in Romeo and Juliet was so great, or like Heath Ledger
so
as the
good.
Joker, or you know Daniel Day-Lewis as is Daniel Plainview and Where There Will Be Blood. Like it's kind of performances as much as like
I
singular.
tell you, I watched actually last night. My friend kept saying like I have to watch this film, and it's called The Sadist, and it was made in the '60s, and it's this sort of crazy film, and it's starring Arch Hall Jr.,
Okay.
who's hasn't really. I don't know his other stuff, but I saw him in that, and he was unbelievable just as a performance. And he plays the sadist, and he's this sort
The
of
Sadist.
the sadist. Watch it; it's really great. And my friend was constantly bugging me. You know when someone's always telling you like watch this film, and you sort of don't want to watch it because they've been asking you so much.
Yeah.
Well, I did actually watch it, and it's phenomenal. And Arch Hall Jr. as a character, as someone who's just trying to inflict pain on someone, but in this sort of he's very strange, and it's very old. But sort of as something to come from the '60s, that's sort of the way he did, I've never seen acting like that before, and to come from then especially is pretty incredible. So
Okay. Wow.
we like Arch Hall Jr.
Okay. I watched the trailer for a film the other day that was recommended again by someone, and I realized I saw it years ago, but it's a Russian film called Come and See, which is set in the Second World War, and
Right.
I watched the trailer again. I was so kind of blown away just even by that, and then I sort of started reading about it, and they said that sounds crazy, but the young boy who's in it is so amazing. But I think he was hypnotized even before doing some scenes to sort of simulate the shell shock, and he came back to school. They filmed it for 9 months, and he came back to school with grey hair. Like, it seems like the most
Really?
crazy, which maybe is not a healthy experience. But I remember I need to watch the film again, but it was just mind blowing. Like, and I think it is kind of crazy. Hold on, I've got a few more. There's now I'm getting the hang of this now. There's questions coming in.
I can't see any of them, which is sad.
See,
You've got all the questions.
I've got all the questions.
Someone says hello from Korea, by the way, George.
Oh, hello. Someone's just said, "Are you real?"
Am I
that's
real?
It's quite an existential question.
3D, man.
What is real? There's quite a lot about the band.
They want to know.
Everyone wants to know. Who knows? Well, we don't even know fully.
We don't know for sure, but I mean,
do you feel someone's just asked a couple of minutes ago, do you feel as if you carry a part, sort of quote unquote, a part of your character with you after the actual act of playing them is over? That's quite an interesting question.
That's a great question. I definitely do. I think that when you spend so much time being someone else, that a sort of a little part of that stays with you, I think. And it's almost very difficult to sort of annihilate that character from yourself, because you've sort of, I mean, I guess it depends on how long you've sort of been playing it. But with Daniel, it was sort of like a bit of an introvert sort of came out of me, actually. And it was sort of quite strange that I came from doing Ned Kelly, where I was so extroverted, and then I was like, oh yeah, fucking what? And I'm like, oh fuck, man, I need to be like super like depressed. So I just sort of like, came back, and I guess it's sort of, you stay with it a little bit. You kind of stay with that until your next job. I guess you sort of you take that somewhere else, but until then, I do always feel like I'm sort of still kind of living in that sort of person a little bit.
Yeah, it must have been strange, because I guess every sort of process is its own, but like the Kelly Gang was such a specific, wild kind of way of working. To then come back to obviously such a different story and a different character, was it was it difficult to shift in terms of, and as you say, each director has a different process,
Absolutely,
what was it like jumping between the two?
It was quite surreal that I'd sort of gone from the outback in Australia to sort of suburbia in Bromley. And it was definitely a complete change of scene. But it was sort of, I guess it worked kind of perfectly that the sort of emotional exhaustion of Ned Kelly sort of came into Bagnold, where I could sort of play into the sort of tired mess that I was, and it sort of worked like quite well. But it was quite a nice change of everything to just be doing something that's so sort of suburban and just in a family life. It's sort of it's quite a simple story where not much really happens, but it's very much on almost what we don't do, and the silences between our words and stuff like that kind of brings out the comedy and the emotions a lot more. So I think it was completely different from Ned Kelly, and coming from that was so sort of surreal and such a shock to my system that it almost helped me even more.
Well, that's it's so lovely to kind of thinking about, as you say, the way that there's not a huge amount happens, but that's the thing. But like in life, you forget that if you pay attention to the small things, so much is going on all of the time. And it's just like in films, we kind of expect that there needs to be some massive journey that people
big gesture,
lives sort of change, or like journeys go on, like, and you do, but like lives change every day, and like the tiny little increments. I think that's what this film does so beautifully. And I just think like one of my favorite bits, like made me laugh so much last night, is just, it's so beautifully played. It's such a kind of subtle shift, but you read it so clearly. The bit when you're Daniel's looking through, kind of gone, it looks hot in Florida, like, well, guess what the temperature will be? And your mum goes like 30, 31, you're like 30, and it's sort of the fact that I knew so much that
man,
wanting to impress with someone, and then they guess
over, and that's so like classic. That's Lisa just being like, I can't remember if that's actually in the. I feel like that's Lisa. That's Lisa doing that because it's sort of. It's such a familiar sort of thing. Like it's such a
Yeah.
familiar feeling of when something like that happens. And there's so many little things in that where there's that feeling that you've definitely felt before, and you're trying to place it, and you know exactly where it is, but it's sort of like it's sort of I guess it's different because it's sort of within this suburbia, and it's sort of so strange when you sort of feel that feeling where you're like, I felt that before, but I can't really like figure out where it's come from.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I
yeah.
know the, you know.
Well, that's the thing is there's so many moments where I think it's as well. I don't know if it's like, you know, especially that time of life when you're a teenager and there's all these kind of, you know, you feel things so strong as
Yeah,
well. Like,
especially
and
the
it's
shoe, this little shoe scene
yeah,
when we're
yeah, yeah,
picking out
yeah,
the shoes, and it's like everyone has gone through that. Going buying
yeah,
your school shoes, like that's like,
yeah,
but it's something
yeah,
that you almost it sort of happens and you forget about, and to bring that back is sort of like this like beautiful regression. It's a
yeah.
you know it's very like nice to reminisce on those times where you're trying to just pick out a school shoe and
I had the exact same thing where like the battle of like, well, at first I wanted these rhino, like all the boys had like
oh
rhino,
man, rhinos. Oh, I
the
still
rhinos.
man, rhinos were big.
They were huge, and but then it was that thing of like you saw a couple of people who was able to wear like there was quite a lot of like black Reebok classics
Oh
that
yeah,
are sort of smart enough to kind of get away with it, and you think, well, I want to do that, and then and it becomes the biggest deal, and then it's really embarrassing when
you're
if
like,
you don't, and
if you have rhinos, you're like, man. Do you remember
uh,
those shoes that used to have a little toy car in the bottom? Did you ever
so
have
a
those?
car.
Well,
No, I remember.
they were like a shoe, and then you like lift up the sole from the inside, and inside has like a toy car.
Wow.
I had those until I was 18, and they were great.
I'm also really impressed with kids who are very good at Heelys,
Oh
like,
man, Heelys.
well, the idea of Heelys is great. And then I think they're actually probably quite difficult. I say,
They
I'm
are.
like, all I've got is Heelys. All I wear is
I've been
Heelys. It's
thinking
kind
about Heelys. I've been thinking about getting into Heelying actually.
of, yeah,
Yeah, they're kind of. I mean, it seems quite convenient, especially in London.
I think so. Yeah, nipping around
Heely to
different
work.
places. Just Heeling to work. It's like rollerblades. Again, always add like it's impressive people on rollerblades. I think you should start it. But I think
I used to rollerblade.
did you?
I
'Cause you're,
did.
I
I
know you're
used
a
to play
skater.
roller hockey, and
Whoa.
like ice hockey, but on roller skates because they didn't have an ice rink. I always dreamt of the ice rink in Guildford because there was like the Guildford Flames, and they were like this
Yeah.
ice hockey team, and they were like the big deal. And then we were the Brighton Stormers, and we just had roller skates, and we were never as cool as the Guildford
Man.
Flames, man.
But that's the thing. It's like those big things when you feel them.
They
That
had the
becomes that's the
Reeboks, we
centre of
had the
your world.
Rhinos.
Reeboks and Rhinos. I think we've got the grounds of some
Reeboks and
great sort of
Rhinos.
very British, like Mighty Ducks kind of
Oh yeah.
Mighty
Oh
Ducks,
man,
but
Mighty
no ice.
Duck.
I don't know, the Mighty Pigeons or something. But like, talking that actually like in a nice segue into like obviously we're talking on Massive, and this is all about kind of British film and British filmmakers and stuff. Like, what are some of the, like, if anyone's watching, again, no pressure, but if anyone's watching, are there any really good British films that you can think of to shout out, as well as obviously Days of Bagnold Summer, the brilliant Days of Bagnold Summer, or also just things why you like sort of why you like British film as well.
Yeah. I wish I could see these comments, but I can't. I don't know if that's.
Um, um,
I still have the Korea one. Hello
There's
to
the
Korea.
hold on. I think some of these questions, there's new ones. Oh, hold on. I was just scrolling up. Hang about. So this is like doing this with your granddad. Here we go. What's your advice for young directors when it comes to directing actors? That's a good one.
Say that again.
What's your advice for young directors when it comes to directing actors? So like, is there anything that you like from a director particularly?
I think I really like it when a director's just sort of deadly honest, because I'm so when I'm doing a scene I get quite sort of insecure in whether I'm doing sort of what they want, or whether I'm doing something in the vision that they've seen it, and
Mm-hmm.
I sort of get quite freaked out, and sometimes directors can be very lovely, and they say like, you're doing great, and I always feel like I don't feel like I'm doing great, but like if you're saying I'm doing great, it's fine. But I think there's a relationship you can get with the actors where you're dead honest with them, and I think I think if someone can tell you that what you're doing is not how they've pictured it, and in no offense,
Yeah.
if you can try it another way, and even just trying things, just for the role, like just try something and see if it's good. You do another. If it's good, you keep it. If it's bad, do another take. And I think someone that can work with that is great. So I think, yeah, I definitely think that just being dead honest with your cast is important.
Yeah, I think that's great. It's a really clear.
Yeah,
it's not simple is the wrong word, but yeah, just honesty being so important in any any working relationship.
Absolutely.
That was. I'm just sort of seeing, just refreshing this little one. Oh no, that was one of those like, what was your favourite? And I always find those.
Ooh,
I made one
favorite
come
what?
up. His favourite roles. I'm against picking favourites.
Favorite roles are so hard.
Well, there you go. There's one that's come instead. Trickiest role. Do you have a trickiest role that you played? Like, if it's Daniel or is it Daniel or Dan?
Ooh,
Dan.
a lot of Daniels as well.
I was gonna say, is there any Daniels that you'd like to play? I'm just trying to think of the great Daniels of history and now.
I can't even think of any other Daniels. Daniel Day-Lewis, the biopic.
Yeah, the film about Daniel.
The film
Day-Lewis.
about him.
Yeah,
but it's Daniel Day-Lewis playing
have...
Daniel Day-Lewis.
God, that sounds like, like a Charlie Kaufman
film.
We can work
on that. Yeah, we can work on that.
Yeah, okay, I'll get right in it. Rhinos.
Get the Rhino. Get Rhino involved.
Involving, with Daniel Day-Lewis. I don't know. We'll work it out. We'll work it out.
Something will happen.
So trickiest roles.
Trickiest roles. I think Daniel was pretty hard to play because just being sort of aggressive and rude and is actually very emotionally draining and quite, especially having to stay in a place where you have to stay angry at someone. It's difficult, and some people are coming up to you and their hair and makeup and stuff, and they're retouching you, and you're like, I have to stay like super mad, but I want to be nice to you guys, but I have to stay super mad at the same time. And trying to stay in that place, I always found was really difficult. But fortunately, I don't know whether Simon did this on purpose but we got all of our lovely sort of nice stuff at the beginning. So we were sort of friends at first with Monica, and then we filmed the stuff. So we could sort of build a relationship from that, and then sort of deconstruct it and destroy it towards the end.
Right.
So it was actually very well planned and timed. I don't know whether that was purposeful or not, but Simon.
It could be.
Could be.
I think it's so I think it's so exciting, this as his first feature as well. Like, I've never directed anything, but just as a punter, it seems like it's such a beautifully made film, and I'm so excited to see what he
he knows what he's got his thing. Like, it sort of seems like his sort of thing, and it feels.
Have you got do you know? I mean, can you predict the future? But but do you have what sort of work are you interested in doing yet? Whether you sort of, is there anything for folk watching that we can look out for at the other side of Days of Bagnold Summer, or what kind of work would you be interested and intrigued by doing?
I think there's a lot of sort of biopic sort of stuff coming out, and I think I'd always love to sort of play be a character that's sort of maybe like a musician or something, or something like that. But really get my teeth into something, and really like Joaquin Phoenix in the Johnny Cash. Where he's just so Johnny Cash, and it must have been so sort of interesting, really just kind of getting your teeth into something like that. It must be absolutely. So I guess I reckon a biopic would be fucking cool.
Do you know who you'd like to play? Like, do you have someone in mind?
Oh man, I mean, I don't know. Do you know? It'd be sick to do like Bill Evans. You know Bill Evans, the jazz piano player. Well, like
I know his name, but I can't think of his. I can't
he's
think
sort
of
of
his name.
like he's like a super cool jazz piano player. He's like slick back hair. He's very suave. That'd be cool. That's just a real weird.
Bill Evans. That's a great.
Yeah, or like Neil Young. That'd be fun. Neil Young would be cool. I guess I'd have to grow my hair out again, but
yeah, Neil. Oh man, you could totally do that. You could do kind of like Nick Drake maybe as well. You know.
Yeah, I'd love to. I'd love to do it. Or, yeah, just I'd love to do a musician. I think, and just sort of, just really and just I love sort of like just researching people and knowing about sort of musicians and sort of about their lives. So that would sort of be just a dream, really.
Yeah.
Getting there.
Well, look, I mean, we're sort of close to wrapping this up, so I'm going to go look for one more question. Well, what time is it? It's nearly 1:45. This is so excited doing this live.
We've been Thanks for doing this, George, by the way.
Oh no, thank you. It was genuinely such a pleasure to watch the film again. And as I said, I felt so blessed to, I guess this is the perfect remedy, the massive cinema lockdown.
Yeah.
Because when I saw this, it was at the London Film Festival, and it was a packed Prince Charles cinema just off Leicester Square. It's the downstairs one where you sort of look up at the screen of anyone who's been to that cinema. Yeah. And it was so great because, and again, being in a packed cinema, I think is just the best viewing experience. And especially when everyone's laughing as well, like laughing with the film. It was just, God, I can't seem to refresh these questions well enough. So actually, I guess to finish then, looking to the future of when we all get back to sort of sitting in close proximity to each other, do you have your best cinema experience, or can you imagine like one of your most memorable cinema experiences
of watching a film?
Yeah,
in the cinema. Yeah. That's a really good question, George.
Yeah.
I think, you know what? I'm going to be dead honest with everyone.
Yeah.
I went and saw the Lego movie.
Yeah.
I don't know when it came out, maybe 2011, was it? 2012, or maybe even later than that. I don't know when it came out. But I remember going to that, and I just thought it was like one of the best films ever. I just absolutely love the Lego movie.
Yes.
And I think it deserves better, and I think it's a beautiful film. Also, you know what? And Mandy. Have you ever watched Mandy?
No.
So it's this film. It's starring Nicolas Cage, and it came out a few years ago. And it's this sort of like, I don't even know how to explain it. It's sort of like it's like these sort of sex like demons, and they like kill. I don't know. It's like Nicolas Cage just being absolute Nicolas Cage and just going on a rampage and just sort of, and it's the most beautiful film. I think it's the guy who did. Oh God, what's his name? I've forgotten his name.
Okay.
Mandy. I remember watching that in Los Angeles, and it was just the most bizarre film, and just so incredibly. The cinematography in it is unbelievable. It's like everything's sort of red and sort of. It's kind of like Ned Kelly, and it's sort of like everything's misty and red and sort of dark, and it's just Nicolas Cage in that is just unbelievable. He's like a force to be reckoned with, that man.
Okay, right. So,
put it on the list, George.
Mandy and the Sadist.
Mandy and the Sadist.
This is my watch.
Fucked up films that you need to watch.
Yeah. Well, look. I think we'll wrap it up here. But I guess anyone watching, if you haven't seen Days of the Bagnold Summer, please watch it. It's where is it on? You can get it on like
iTunes, iTunes or Amazon and
Google Play.
Places, and it's on Yahoo Movies, and it's on the BFI player.
Sky Store, Virgin, BT, all these good places, all the streaming places. While we can't go to the cinema, that's where it is. And seriously, it is a beautiful, beautiful film and a really accomplished first feature. And you are brilliant in it.
Thank you.
as is Monica Dolan. So those are the Bagnold Sum Up by Simon.
Big shout out to Monica.
Lisa Owen, starring
Lisa
Monica Dolan,
Owens.
Elle Cave, and just a
Simon
fantastic team of people. But oh, thank you so much for coming and doing this. This is so happy to talk to you, man.
George, likewise, man. Thank you for doing this for me too.
Brothers. Yeah, I hope you're having a lovely day. And I guess there's no sort of curtains or anything. I'm just going to press.
There is no, we just have to press go.
But just thank you so
Brother,
much.
I love you.
Well done. And thanks everyone for writing in. Good night. Thanks for watching the film and for tuning in. And thanks for your questions.
Thank you so much.
And yeah.
All right.
Bye.
Bye. See ya.